So I listen to Easy and Alan on their Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. During the show, you can live chat with Easy and Alan at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com. Rumour has it, Lenny only swings one way, with Launch Angle. Now here's Easy and Chris Allen.
And here we are tonight. And tonight I have Chris with me. Last night I did a 3-hour show during a live draft.
That sounds like fun.
It was fun. We had a good time. But tonight I do have my co-host with me, Chris Allen from FFCouchCoach.com and 4for4. Chris, how you doing tonight? I know we're starting late because you had a draft. How'd it go?
I think it actually went quite well. One of my other side jobs, as you know, I have many hats in the fantasy community. So tonight I had to put on my draft day consultant's hat, and then I drafted for one of the clients. It was a 10-team half-point PPR, and we were able to start off with David Johnson, Odell Beckham, and then we got David Johnson, Odell Beckham, and AJ Green. Those were our first 3 picks in a 10-team half-point PPR league. So it was quite good. I think it went quite well.
Oh, good. That's good. It was an auction, or this was a snake?
Snake.
Oh.
That was the best part. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I couldn't believe that those little guys fell.
League.
Yeah.
The home league. Well, I'm in a draft right now. People in the chat room, a lot of them are in this draft with me, and a couple of them were even with me last night. We've gone now about an hour. Easy Kill only has a couple of players. I have been the bids have gone pretty high, to be real honest, and my budget. I'm going to pay attention now because I need a running wide receiver. Michael Thomas is up. I have enough extra in my cabinet to spend a few dollars on him. I have him in my budget in the league like this for about $48 is about what I'm willing to go up to, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a couple dollars more since I've not bought anybody yet. Right now I'm the high bidder at 45. Someone bit me off right at the last minute. I think I've got to be willing to go to 50 with my weakness of my team right now, which is pretty weak because I have no one. So, people in the chat room. Someone just went to. Do you go 50? My budget was 48.
That's fine. I think, especially with how much money you have left over, going $2 over your budget.
Here's another cool thing is I have him in no leagues. So,
okay. So expanding your portfolio. That's fine.
A couple other people now have bid him up. He's up to 52. And I still think I got other options out there. T.Y. Hilton, Adams, Evans, Cooks, Hogan. I think I'm going to be able to get some. At this point, I'm going to have to fill up on a lot of $15, $20 players. We'll see how it goes. Last night, I kind of did the same strategy, waited a little bit, and then was able to get some good value later. Man, McCaffrey already up to $40.
People are buying the hype. Is that PPR?
Yeah, PPR. Unfortunately, I've got a bid. I have him budgeted about 37 in my cheat sheet, and he's already up to $10 over that. And these people have no money. I mean, some of these people, this would be the last person they get.
Right.
So we'll see. Tonight we're going to be talking about really just week 1, some of the news and notes. You know what? This is Fantasy Football Eve. You know what? We're less than 12 hours now. We're getting excited. And yes, we are out on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports .com website. You can go there, log into the chat room, ask us questions. Be a part of the broadcast. We're also live on YouTube again tonight. You can, Chris, we are now officially on Apple Podcast. So
we're on iTunes. Look at us.
Yeah, we're on iTunes. I don't think they call it iTunes anymore, but that's where we're at now. You can.
All right.
You can now download us. And trust me, last night when it downloaded that 3-hour show, my download pod thing was like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, the file is probably huge.
It was. And you know what? It was one of those shows where we just had a ball. I had people call in during the draft. We had a great time.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Well, it happened at the very last minute. When we realized, normally on Tuesday nights, someone else does a football show, and I texted him, and he was doing the draft also. Actually, it was his podcast league that the draft was for. And I said, hey, you doing a podcast during the show? And, he said, no, we did it yesterday, a day early so that we didn't have to do it today. I said, well, then you care if I get on live and we just, I'll chat a little bit for a round or two. Well, then he decided to log in, and chat with me a little bit. Hold on here. I'm bidding on Corey Davis. Again, that's one of those $20 players now. Well, actually, I have him at 16.
That's what I was going to ask, how much you had budgeted for him. I'd put him in the $15 to $20 range.
That's what I've got. And again, because I have no players, I'm going to have to start spending money on somebody.
Right.
Literally, I have $197. The next closest person has 106.
Right.
And boom, he's got there. They're all going pretty high. So I'm definitely the word studs and duds doesn't even count anymore. I don't have any studs. There's hardly any left. So I'm really gonna just have it'll be fun to manage. It's gonna be a pretty mediocre group of people.
Cobbling together a bunch of wide receiver twos, running back twos, and things of that nature.
You know what? That's not bad. I mean, sometimes
no, absolutely not.
Obviously, I'll be going up against people who have the studs and duds. I'll be going up against people who have that one or two great players, and then a bunch of dollar people. So we'll see. It's pretty good. Yeah, they're talking in the chat room about me being a tightwad and all that. I just in an auction, I'm pretty good at sticking, with my budget. And when players are going that high early, I'm assuming eventually people are going to get spent out. And as long as I see enough decent players on the board, you know what? I'm willing to just wait it out a little bit. So,
gotcha.
Again, a 2-quarterback league. Russell Wilson's now out there. I would have no problem putting Russell Wilson with Matt Stafford as a 2-quarterback league. I have him budgeted at 18. He's now going at 20. I can afford a couple bucks because, again, at that point, I have to hope my quarterbacks are a little stronger.
Okay.
Going to be a little weaker somewhere else. So we'll see that. Why don't we jump into news and notes? And while I'm bidding a little bit and, kind of go around the football league real quick. Let's just talk quickly. Mainly just let's do injuries first. I don't think a whole lot happened, but what do you have on any injury front that's happened this last week?
Nothing, I guess, no new injuries from what I've heard. If anything, there are folks returning from injury, like nothing, I would say, supremely fantasy related. Actually, take that back. The one thing that I did hear was that, and not that too many folks are going to be starting him anyway, but Austin Seferian-Jenkins, tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is dealing with, I think, a core muscle injury or something to that effect. I saw that report earlier today. So for folks that were working the waiver wire or looking for a tight end streamer for week 1, that might be something to monitor for the upcoming weekend. Other than that, I haven't heard too much on the injury front.
I noticed today Reed now has a little red check mark on his thing. He's got a hamstring issue. Is that anything in major or just Jordan Reed beating Jordan Reed?
I think it's just Jordan Reed being Jordan Reed. Like, I haven't heard anything more to that effect. So until I hear more, I'm not all that concerned about it.
All right. I actually, because I've got him in a few leagues. Now I don't like having 2 tight ends, but because I take a gamble on him, I usually back him up with a late round, flyer of some sort.
Right.
So, kind of just noticed that today. So we don't have any injuries that are a concern. What about people coming off injuries? I know that's happened with a few players this week. What do you have as far as people who now have been cleared and probably will play this week?
So it looks like, so we know that Alshon Jeffrey, he avoided the pup. I think that was the plan from Doug Peterson. That was reported, if not last week, the week beforehand. So he avoided the pup, but it's not sounding like he's going to be playing in either week 1 or week 2. I think that was the original plan that was put out. So folks are still drafting Alshon Jeffrey. Sure, you can go ahead and pick him up in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, somewhere in that area, but don't expect him to be in your starting lineup for week 1. But then also, one of the offensive linemen for the Panthers, again, not super fantasy relevant, but for those folks that are counting on either Cam Newton or Rush or even Christian McCaffrey to really pick up both those rushing and passing yards, passing down work that we're expecting him to get, you really need that offensive line in order to work and kind of become a cohesive unit in order for that production to occur. So with CMC, I believe one of their offensive linemen is coming back from injury, so it looks like that offensive line might look healthier than what it did 2 to 3 weeks ago. So I think his outlook looks a little bit better now.
Right. And then when we go back to Jeffries, we also have the quarterback issue there. So not only is Jeffrey not going to be there, their quarterback isn't going to be there. So there's a chance both of those may not be there for 2 or 3 weeks. So
correct. Yeah.
How does that affect the team altogether? I guess if anything, to me, it props Ertz and Agler up a little bit. Because of the targets, maybe Jay Ajayi just getting some more work. But, overall, though, I'm kind of staying away. I've noticed I've got a lot of teams. I'm in a lot of leagues, and I don't have many players to watch tomorrow night. I don't have too many players on either one of those teams.
I actually have Julio in one of my cash leagues, so I'm looking forward to that. But otherwise, on the Eagles side, I don't have too many because there's been injury risk kind of written over the entire team, kind of the entire offseason, because we didn't know how Carson Wentz was going to progress. But I was never of the expectation that he was going to start week 1 anyway. I mean, the injury just occurred too late in the season to expect a quarterback to be ready in order to perform in week 1, I think was a bit too optimistic to begin with. So, and then especially with Alshon Jeffrey, sure, I was drafting him somewhat early, but this shoulder thing, my assumption was that he was going to be cleared and ready to go, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a long-term injury. But with Carson Wentz, they don't know. I mean, at least from the reports that I've seen, there hasn't been a timetable set up to say that, he's going to be ready. He's going to be playing in week 2 or week 3 or whatever. It's just he's out, and we don't know when he's going to start. So it's the Nick Foles show for the time being.
Right. What do you think of Foles as a streamer tomorrow? I know he's had a bad preseason, but obviously the last 2 regular season games that we saw him, he was very good.
Yes, he was. And I think that the problem with it is that with the entire offense in flux, with not having Alshon Jeffrey there, and without having Jay Ajayi there, he's another guy that's coming back from injury. He practiced in full, I believe, earlier today. I think that's kind of put some added pressure on the offense as a whole. So, I do like Nick Foles as a streamer, but he'd be at the bottom list of streamers because I would prefer playing guys like Andy Dalton this weekend. I would prefer playing Blake Bortles this weekend. I might even slot in Tyrod Taylor this weekend, looking at his matchup against the Steelers, because the Steelers defense isn't what it used to be. So sure, I would, or hell, even Case Keenum against the Seahawks, because that defense isn't what it used to be. I mean, there are a number of viable streamers this week, and I could see Nick Foles being added to that list.
Right. I agree. I'm in a 2 quarterback league where I played a little bit of games, and I currently don't have that second quarterback. So I'm going to stream somebody this week, and he is one of the options, right now that I'm looking at. Because obviously, when he plays well, he's got points. Now the problem is, obviously the problem still is who's he throwing to. I think that's what scares me more right now. Not necessarily that he plays bad. He just doesn't have a top-notch team out there that he's putting on the field.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. So I think that's some of the concern when drafting or streaming a player like him, and especially in that position. So it'd be easier for me to look at some of the other players that I just mentioned, because again, we know their situation. We understand where they're at. The weapons are healthy for most of those other guys. So it's just less risk assumed in an already volatile method of streaming quarterbacks. So I do that.
Right. So that's pretty exciting. We'll get into tomorrow's game. Tad here. I'm in the middle of bidding. And man, these people have no money and they're still bidding me up.
They want your money.
Yeah,
they want your money.
And I've got a lot of it, so I should be spending it. I'm going to get stuck here. It's like Drew Brees. I mean, he went for $21. I realize it's a 2-quarterback league. I think Rodgers only went for 23. I'm sorry, Drew Brees. So right now, just because I know there's people out there, a lot of the people that are listening to us live right now are in the chat room. They are involved in this draft with me. So that makes it a little fun. So I'm sure they don't care that we talk a little bit about this draft. Now, obviously, if they're listening, they know I have Mike Evans is up. I have no wide receivers. I shouldn't say that. My team right now is Matthew Stafford, who I got for 11. I got Jameis Crowder for 14, Fitzgerald for 22, Brandon Cooks for 12, and I have Justin Tucker that I overpaid, but I got for $6.
Okay.
But I can afford $6.
Right.
Obviously Evans, I have him budgeted at 35. Half the people in this room don't even have $35. But I got a feeling the one guy that's got 100, there's 2 others that have 100. They're probably like me. He's pretty much, I still have T.Y. Hilton, Baldwin, Tate.
You got some wide receivers then. You're all right.
I mean, but I still have to be willing to go to my budget on him. So,
sure.
Cubub, I don't think you have any money left. I know you're out there listening. That guy, if you're out there listening, I don't know what you got, $30. So I got to go 30. Because I guess the other thing is I have to bid the other guy up that has 100. So,
okay.
Either way, if I win and overpay a little bit, that's fine. If I lose, the other guy overpays and he's out of money. So there, I just hit my budget at 35 right now. So, and he went 37, 38. So that's where I'm at. My team, my team isn't terrible. I just don't have any first or second round players.
Sure.
And he's bidding me up to 40. And he went. I did not get Evans. So I'm definitely going to be going with a few other people. And the thing is, they know that, obviously they know I have to bid. Sammy Watkins is now on the board. Obviously, he could be a good value.
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't have him for much money, but now I have to pay up. So, makes it fun. And again, that's what we did last night, talking all this through.
Yeah.
But while you're on the radio and doing this live, it does make it a little bit harder to pay.
I'd be tilting right now, like trying to concentrate on that and also host a podcast or a radio show.
It makes it fun. That's why I've got you.
Oh, yeah.
While I'm bidding, let's go into contract news and news that kind of came down today with I think we have Seattle sign their defensive player. You obviously had the Bears that got a defensive player from the Raiders this week.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the big news is Bell not coming to camp. So why don't you go ahead while I'm in this auction and give me some of your opinions on those?
Sure. So with the Earl Thomas thing, I don't know. I don't know how to honestly feel about it because it seemed like it didn't really, to me, it didn't seem like Seattle was all too inclined to pay him what he felt that he was worth. And with the rumor coming out earlier, we had Schefter reporting that Dallas was willing to offer a second-round pick in order to trade for Earl Thomas. Now, whether it's true or not or whatever,
I thought that they went to a third round, and the second round is what was required, and that's when they backed out. You're saying that they actually offered.
That's what I saw from Schefter's tweet like earlier, is like late this morning, earlier this afternoon, was that the final offer was a second round pick from Dallas, and they said the price, Seattle's requirement, was higher than that, and then Dallas backed off afterwards. That's what I remember seeing earlier today. But regardless, he's there now. practicing, so we can assume that he's going to be there. Now, whether or not he's going to wind up starting week 1 or whatever, like because of just getting back into football shape, I'm assuming he's been working out, but just getting back into playing the game or whatnot, not entirely sure. Regardless, they at least get one of their, if not their best defensive player back in order to play for week 1. So that does kind of tamper down like my expectations for the Broncos defense, or the Broncos offense rather. But I do think that it's the best move for the Seahawks in order to retain somebody like Earl Thomas. The Khalil Mack trade, I don't get it, man. I really don't. When it comes to, if you ever heard, for the folks that are listening right now, if you ever heard the term hustling backwards, I mean, this is the epitome of that, because I cannot understand like why Gruden would let a player of max talent go in lieu of what they currently have on their roster. I mean, when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, who are they going to have in order to rush the pass? And then if you look at the things that are done on offense, they've let some great talent go. And Martavis Bryant, sure, he might be a quote unquote head case if you want to look at it like that. But again, his talent, his on-field talent would be great for somebody like Derek Carr to match with, and for somebody to work opposite Amari Cooper to take a top off the defense. So why not retain his services? I don't understand why they would let somebody like that go. Do they really think that Griff Whalen or Seth Roberts was more of an asset to the team? I don't understand it. It seemed like the rumors that are currently circulating right now are that the team is strapped for cash because they're making that move from Oakland to Vegas next year, and they're trying to make that deal happen. So they weren't able to pay Mac. Whatever the case may be, to me, it seems like if you have the money to pay your best defensive player, then you should pay him accordingly. And they let him walk. Now Chicago was able to reap the benefits of that. So it just, to me, that doesn't make much sense. And then kind of the same thing with Le'Veon Bell. The man's just looking for a little bit of stability. So with the franchise tender and whatnot that he hasn't signed yet in order to play, I can understand him holding out. But again, from our perspective as fantasy owners, it's kind of hard to process that information, or at least to understand what we're supposed to do with what's going on day in and day out, because we don't know that. We don't know if he's going to actually return to play. It's looking like he's pretty much out for week 1. And then the rumors that we're hearing that he's going to be out all the way until week 10. What are you supposed to do with that if you've already drafted? For the folks that were fortunate enough to be in the Scott Fish Bowl or leagues that drafted all throughout August.
Right.
But your first round pick, you're screwed.
I finally got to talk because I've actually got a few players here, but but everyone knew that. It's just that everyone knew he was holding out, or that he was going to sit out, that type thing. So you were taking a chance. I didn't bid on him or I don't have him on a team. To me, that it was just a little shaky. So I don't feel, some people are saying, well, that's why you shouldn't draft early. No, that has nothing to do with drafting early. It's just drafting smart. You know what? If I'd have picked him 7th or 8th or something like that, then I would say, okay, I took a chance. If you're taking, I was in 2 drafts this weekend when it got pretty close, and I happened to be the same guy with me in both drafts, and he drew the number 1 pick in both, and he took Bell in both. So, now today I offered him Gronk for him. And he thought about it, and he just said, I just can't. He goes, even if he comes back on week 10, he said, I'm hoping he did have Connor already. So he was like, hopefully I can just hang on, make the playoffs. And then maybe by then he comes back. So, that's kind of what he said, but hey, if I could, I happen to get Gronk in the 3rd, but he is someone who's going in the 2nd, and Gronk is someone who could end up being a first-round quality player. So, sure. I didn't think it was a terrible offer, but, and I was obviously gambling. Now, in this league, I got, I also ended up with, now I'm thinking, because I was just looking at the thing, tight end for the Bears.
Trey Burton.
Yeah, I picked up Trey Burton really late. For 2 reasons. If Burton really takes off, then obviously I have, trade options with Gronk. Gronk seems to be one of those, it always seems like in the middle of the season you can trade Gronk. There's people out there that are sick. No, I'm serious. I mean, in home leagues, people just get sick of their tight ends. So you can flip Gronk periodically for pretty decent value. So if both of them have good seasons, I can flip one, but I was willing to offer that. So I don't know. Are you a James Conner guy? Do you think he's gonna, again, I don't think he's a replacement player or anything like that. 100%, but there are people out there that are talking, he's going to do what D'Angelo did, and he's going to be a top player. I don't see him being a top player.
It's it's really hard to say without seeing how he's played on the team, other than preseason or when Bell needs a blow or something like that. But I think it's a great story. I mean, the kid beat cancer in order to come back and play football, and he's from the Pitt, the Pitt area. So it's a great story, but I can't say either way. I mean, I would much rather have Alfred Morris because I've seen him play.
I did hear the stat because a couple of people were saying, "Wow, this is going to affect the whole team," but
no, it's not.
Stats for Pittsburgh are actually better when he's not playing.
They average like 31 points a game as an offense without Le'Veon Bell. I mean, D'Angelo Williams showed that 3 years ago that it's just that the offense is fine without him. Yeah. And now, especially with they have Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, that was 3 years ago. So now they've got Juju. Now they've got James Washington. They've got Vance McDonald. He's limited in practice, but he's still there. I mean, Roethlisberger, and they're going more up tempo. They've got with the Fiechner, I believe is the pronunciation of the quarterback's coach, now turned offensive coordinator since Todd Haley isn't there. Since he came down from the booth and now he's working on the field closely with Roethlisberger, the team's going more up-tempo, and now you're seeing a much more potent offensive shift. Roethlisberger could be he's being drafted as the, let's say, QB 12, QB 13, like somewhere in there. He could be a top 8 quarterback, especially with the guys that he's throwing to. So, yeah, I don't think that the running back or the person toting the ball for them it's kind of irrelevant, unfortunately. But we prop up Le'Veon Bell because he has the talent to do it.
Right.
I don't know if Connor has.
Out in the chat room, Phil Chap 75 is saying Connor is much better than Morris. So right now, would you rather have Morris or would you rather have Connor?
From a talent perspective, I 100% agree.
This is fantasy. As a fantasy player, who do you think is going to be more valuable? Because value-wise, right now, both of them are going for the same amount of money.
Right. I would say value-wise, I would take Connor.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The problem, if there's a little negative to Connor, is Connor has, in my opinion, a little better team around him, and the ball's going to get passed around and moved around a little more. Where, Alfred Morris, to me, that team, I know people are saying things. I'm just not sold on that team. That team's not the same offense as Pittsburgh in my mind yet. They have to prove it to me.
No, I mean, because they're still playing we don't know what the defense in San Francisco is going to look like. So with Alfred Morris not being a primary pass catcher, I can totally see where game strips get out of hand and they turn to Matt Breida over Alfred Morris in order to actually create offensive production. With James Conner, they have at least a decent defense. It's not great like it used to be, but at least a decent defense. And again, the team is still putting up 25 to 30 points a game, so Connor should at least see some production either in both the rushing and passing role. So assuming health, yeah, I could totally see that happening or working out in that way.
Now, what's your opinion? Because again, I listen to a lot of stuff and play around and, probably spend too much time on some of this stuff. I know a lot of people are blaming Bell, they're calling, and I know technically it's a holdout, but you know what, Pittsburgh, they just, in my opinion, they didn't give him the money he's deserved the last couple of years as being one of the best running backs in football. I blame Pittsburgh more than I blame Bell. So I understand Bell doesn't have many options, and the players don't. And, again, his argument now isn't the money, it's them running him to death, I don't know. I'm not necessarily a person to pick sides, but I'm picking Bell's side over the Steelers.
I will always advocate for players getting more money. That's just me.
Right. There's a ton of money out there.
Yeah.
The NFL gets money we don't even, see or hear. Speaking of that, Alfred Morris is now in the auction room. I went ahead and bid up. I bid 9. I kind of thought in my head 8 to 10. I'm still pretty weak at running back. There's a couple of the running backs left, so I'm not willing to go too much more. But and maybe I'm going to get him here for $12. You know what? For $12, if I get and I did get him for 12. So if I'll take that. If I get him, if he gives me some production, for the next 3 or 4 weeks for $12, I can live with that.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
So why we've been gabbing here a little bit, I have come up with now the last few draft picks. I was able to pick up Rex Burkhead for 7, overpaid. I have him budgeted up 4, but again, I need running backs now. I got Marshawn Lynch for 11. I picked up Doug Baldwin for 16. I think that's a steal as long as he's healthy. I mean, if he was healthy, he was going for $35 and $40.
Right.
So, and then I just got Alfred Morris for 12. So right now my team is full of $10, $20 players in that range. Now the good thing is on the board, I still have, there's Derrick Henry, Chris Hogan, Jay Ajayi, Greg Olson, Delaney Walker at tight ends. I still just have one quarterback. I think the quarterbacks have gone, but Matt Ryan is still out there. Mahomes, 2 of the better. Jimmy Graham is still out there. Juju Schuster is still an option.
Right.
That Chris Hogan's on the board now. I really need more running back than I need. I'm kind of in trouble running back wise now. There's a few options out there, but not. I mean, Jay Ajayi and Derrick Henry are the 2 main starters. Carlos Hyde is out there. Jamal Williams is out there. I guess. Solid, yeah, they're all solid. I should be able to get all those. I should be able to get all those in the $10 to $15 range, and I have the budget. I've got $100 now. Most of the fields under 20. Somebody with 60 is the next closest to me, and that person's now bid up Chris Hogan to $20. I'm not willing to go $20. I've kind of already got some wide receivers, so we'll go that route. Any other news or anything? I think I had, again, I'm trying to bid and, I'm in charge of nominating right now. And I'm nominating Alex Collins. Did you just laugh at me?
Yes. Because you're multitasking.
I am. I'm in the chat room. I'm reading the chat room. Sorry, guys. That guy's out there. Cub Bub, Phil Chap, Andrea was there earlier. I appreciate y'all coming out. It's I am doing a little bit more. I'm sorry. I do have to bid on Collins here. I have him budgeted for 16. Obviously, hopefully there's not a lot of money there. I'm hoping to get him around $10. Even though I don't know why I've got the money to spend, I could bid all the way up to the 17, $18. He is a starting running back, and I need one of those.
Okay.
So why I'm talking about that? What about Buffalo selecting Peterman as their starter? What you consider that?
Okay. I mean, I get it.
Fantasy? How's it affect fantasy?
It doesn't. I mean, because regardless of who was going to be starting for them, whether it was going to be Josh Allen or Nathan Peterman, I don't think it would change the general feel for how you would approach starting any of those players. I mean, any of the really rosterable players. So if you're fine with drafting LaShawn McCoy in the 3rd round or wherever you want to pick him up, so that's general ADP, then it doesn't matter if it was going to be Josh Allen or Nathan Peterman. If you wound up taking Kelvin Benjamin in the 10th, 11th round, you're still going to be starting him regardless, or putting him in your flex spot. It doesn't matter.
Any pieces of the Buffalo Bills on any of my 10 teams?
Nope. I've got Charles Clay in a bunch of best ball leagues. Kelvin Benjamin sparsely, but I have 0 LaShawn McCoy. Not doing it.
All right. I agree. I don't think this affects anything other than I do think obviously they're playing him, to protect the rookie, and they're preparing for the next couple of years. So I don't have a
Yeah,
problem with what they're doing.
yeah, and Josh Allen got absolutely demolished in the last preseason game.
Speaking of Buffalo, McCoy has pretty much been cleared to at least he's at least going to play this Sunday
for week one. He's good.
And I noticed as soon as that came out, the last few drafts I've done, his value did go up a little bit. So but again, I have, he's old. They don't have much of an offense or a line. Now with Peterman, I don't own him.
No, I'm just not going to do it. There's too much risk. I could totally see the narrative. I mean, just from an on-field talent perspective, absolutely, the Sean McCoy is definitely worth the price that he's going at. But again, if we're looking at risk, I mean, if there were folks that were scared about this whole Le'Veon Bell situation as it cropped up over August, I mean, why are we not bringing that same energy towards the LeSean McCoy situation?
Right.
So, and even just looking at both his age, his usage over the past couple of seasons, all of that kind of regressing and making it to the point where, I don't see him paying off that draft cost, especially in such a bad offense. I'm sure he might get a bunch of dump off passes, but is that really what you want to hang your hat on for a 3rd round pick? I guess that's just not for me. So I've been passing.
Okay, I agree. Duke. Oh, dang it! Now did I get him? No, that cost me a deal. Duke Johnson just went for $2. I went to click on the 3. I was looking at some notes.
That is
boys, that one got me. So now I did pick up Derrick Henry now for 13, Alex Collins for 24. So now I have Burkhead, Lynch, Morris, Collins, and Henry. John Brown's now going. Now everyone is putting in these low end players that are going for a buck or two. I can't afford to bid on them right now because I still got about $70. I need to bid on player. You know what I'm saying? I could bid these guys up to 3 and 4 and 5 and steal them, but I need to keep my money. I still need to, have Jay Jai out there. Hey, you guys listening to me out there, that's fine. Jay Jai, I have to really target. Tevin Coleman's out there. I can't let him go. I mean, I have him budgeted for $10. The bid's right now at $4.
Right.
So that's the thing. I'm getting some good value now. I just am afraid I don't want to get stuck with $25 at the end of this draft either.
Yeah.
How many auction drafts have you done this year?
I've only done one actually. I haven't been able to get into a couple of them. So it's like
I got Tevin Coleman for $8. So now I went from no running backs to now I got like 6.
You are wheeling and dealing, man.
Yeah. Again, and now this is a big bench league. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bench spots. Jay Jai is now for bid. I have him budgeted for $18. I happen to like him. He's like the only Philadelphia offense person I like because I really think they're going to run him. I think they're going to use him. I've got the cash. I've got to be willing to bid up here and take JJ. He would probably be my real starter.
Sure.
Him and Lynch and everybody else. Derrick Henry could be a good flex running back. So I'll be curious. Right now the bid's at 16. Andrea's trying to bid up 16, but she only has $27 to spend. It's going to be a little hard there. No, she did try one more. Let's see. I'll see if she wants to empty her pocketbooks. Let me just see. Andrea needs a running back. I'm going to do too much, and then I'm going to. I got him for $18.
That's not bad.
Had him budgeted for 20. So that is my first piece of JJ of all these drafts. So, yes, you're right, Cubub. I do draft better when I'm not distracted, and and now there are 2 people with more money than me. 3. So now I'm down to where I can still afford it. I need a tight end. I can't go $10 now. I could, but Delaney Walker for 10, I'm not willing to do that.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at there. And we'll go a little bit here. And I am going to try something later. Maybe Cubub's up there. That guy's up there or out there in the chat room. Me and you have talked multiple times. We've done another podcast. We've had a third person, but might try here in a little bit. Maybe have somebody call me on Skype. Be kind of neat to see if we could add a third person. It's something I haven't tested yet. Be kind of neat if we test that today. Someone put up Peterman for bid. So honestly, I think that person's going to get there. So Cubhub subsidies out there. And I'll give you a little heads up here in a few minutes, Cubhub. I'll have you call in my Skype number and we'll test. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I will. It'd just be kind of neat to test if we could take a call this way or not, so that maybe someday, we'll be able to take some live calls. I'm trying to think. The other news I had is Josh Gordon is saying he's 100%. What's up here? Am I already? Yeah. Carlos Hyde's going for 5. Josh Gordon be 100%. They say he's going to start. Obviously, the couple of drafts I've seen here the last few days, he went for a lot more all of a sudden. What I'm going to say, I think he's back to where he was. Early on in the drafts, he was going pretty high. Then for a while, he kind of dropped down there when he wasn't in camp. And now he's, boom, went right back up.
Yeah.
All right, it's my turn to put in a selection here. I put in a bid. We'll see where this goes here. I put out David Njoku, tight end for Cleveland. So we'll see how that goes.
That'll work. I think that's a solid pick.
Yes. Hold on. I'm kind of reading the chat room. So as far as Cleveland goes and Gordon on the field, are you a Gordon person?
Oh yeah, I mean, from a from a talent perspective, absolutely. His draft price, not too much into that, but I do think that there's a solid chance. I think he can at least make somewhat of a return back to football. I don't think he's going to go over. At least for me, I just can't see how he goes over 1,000 yards this year. I don't see that in him, or I don't see that in the team, rather, for Tyrod to be supporting not 1, not 2, but 3 to 4 pass catchers. Because if we're talking about Jarvis Landry, returning value in the 3rd or 4th round, Josh Gordon in the 4th or 5th round. We've got David Njoku. You've got, who else? You've got Duke Johnson. All these pass catchers. It's like, do we really think that Tyrod, who is perennially in the 3,800 range in terms of yardage, 38, less than 4K? Is that really what we expect him to do? And kind of push both Jarvis Landry and Josh Gordon into that 3rd to 4th round value? I just don't see it.
I agree. I've gotten some pieces of Hyde, which pieces of Hyde sounds like a fantasy team name.
I actually kind of like that.
Yeah, pieces of Hyde. But I think that's about it. I think I have a little bit of Landry in PRs, and that's it. I don't. Now I think about I have 1 Tyrod Taylor that I'm sitting on. So, obviously that's more than I'd had last year. So in the auction now, Marquise Goodwin is up. What's your opinion on him? Is he their number 1, do you think, or their number 3? It could be either way, I guess.
I guess you could call him that as their wide receiver 1, just because I do think that he, in terms of his talent, is more than just a straight line deep threat type of player. Sure, he's a track runner. He's a sprinter, by nature. He went to the Olympic qualifiers, if I'm not mistaken, the last Olympic go around. But regardless, do we really care, though, in a Kyle Shanahan offense who the number 1 receiver is?
No. But if you get the number 1 cheaper, then if someone else thinks the number 1 is somebody else, and you get the number 1 cheaper, that becomes a good value. Sure,
but again, assuming health, I would think that if Marquise Goodwin, let's say he goes for, how much is he going for right now?
He went for $10. I had him budgeted at $8.
Sure.
I just unfortunately now I'm down to where I only have $30 some. I still need a defense. I still need a second quarterback.
Is Pierre Garçon already gone?
You know what? I don't recall seeing him. Garçon. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see him. No, he is still on here, and I have him budgeted for about $8. So we'll see. Now,
so you could probably get him for half the cost, and then again, it's like I would almost rather take the cheaper portion of that, because if we're looking at the talent, then also the offensive genius behind Kyle Shanahan. I mean, he made Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, even Taylor Gabriel. I mean, all those pieces were valuable in that Atlanta Falcons offense. So if we can look at San Francisco the same way, where they all have value, it's just which week the other one may or may not have value. So if I can take the cheaper of the two and look at Pierre Garçon, right, I'll take him.
Right. All right. I got a few things we're going to talk about, but right now, I don't know in the chat room if it's Cubbub or that guy, whoever, maybe if somebody has a question, maybe he wants to ask a question on the draft right now, or maybe a question about week 1, go ahead and call in. Like I said, I'd like to just see, if we're able to add the Skype. If we can't, well, then I'll type it in the chat room. But I think the way I have it set up, I should be able to take a third caller, even though me and you are on Hangouts. I think I can still bring in Skype on this other machine. So one of you want to give me a call in, we'll just add you to the conversation here for a few minutes. And I just truly got involved and have no idea. Juju Schuster just went for 20. Deion Lewis is now up for 10. Already out of my budget based on the number of players I need. That's the problem. Now I need too many players and don't have much money. I now can only spend like $3 on a player. So kind of gets me there. The come up if you still have the number from last night. If you need it, let me know. I'll type it in the chat room. Otherwise, just give me a holler. Now, current bid $1. See, I got $32. Why is it saying I can't bid on somebody for $2? I got $32 and how many spots to fill? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. I should be able to bid more than $1 based on what I got, right?
You think so?
And we do have a call coming in.
Uh-oh.
And this is a test. Who am I on with, or who's on with me?
Easy. This is Mike Cubbub. How are you, brother?
Fine, Cubbub. Thanks for calling in. I need to give you a second here. Hold on. Chris, can you hear Cubbub?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Now I can't hear you as well, though. Are you Cubbub? Can you hear Chris?
No, I could not hear Chris. I can hear you. Okay.
Chris, just give me a count or something. I'm just kind of
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, see, maybe that's the thing. I might have to play with this a little bit. I don't have Chris. Cubhub, though, I'll give you a second. Chris, do you hear me? I can barely hear Chris, but Chris, you can hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Then I'll just translate. You don't hear Cubhub at all?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Oh, no, I can hear him. Yeah, I can hear Mike.
Oh, you can hear him.
I can hear him talking. Yeah, he just can't hear me.
Yeah, all right. That'll give me. That's all right. In the future, it'll give me something to play with. Cubhub, how do you think the draft has been going?
Listen, I've been an interested observer. Obviously, Andrea and I are co-owning a team, and she's been handling the draft. I think she's done amazing. I mean, I would put her team that she's drafted up against anybody. But I got to say, how many mistakes have been made? I haven't seen anything. I mean, who's dropped the ball? This is a quality group, and I think it's going to be fun to watch how this plays out.
Yeah, I think I thought early on you already seen me in one auction. I'm a little tight early on with big money guys. So
a little tight,
just
tight,
a little,
easy,
just a little
easy. Come on, easy. You, if you were my prom date, I'd still be crying.
I got you. Andrea's out there. Tell me, Andrea, I'm doing this a little different. So I don't have Cubhub. He's in Skype versus Hangouts. Now I think I could Cubhub. Do you have do you use Hangouts at all? Have you ever done Hangouts?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's fine. Then I'll Oh, wait, now I have a nomination. So I do have to make a move here real quick.
Yep.
So, I got to, there we go. And my nomination before it runs out. Yeah, because Andrea, like I said, I'll play with this a little more. I just kind of at the last minute, when I saw a few people out there, I thought it'd be a good time to experiment because I'm running multiple machines here, and me and Chris are on Hangouts on one machine. I have you Skyped on that same machine. I thought I could run it through, but I'll have to mess with that. Well, Cub Hub, what did you think? I think the thing you were upset most about was the Kelsey going for like $20.
Well, okay, because last night, obviously, okay, I took a lot of heat and I took a lot of grief, well deserved. I spent $38 on Travis Kelsey. I was trying to bid up another player that I thought was overbidding, and I thought, he'll go to 39, he'll go to 40. So I go to 38, and rightfully so, he dropped out. And
dead in the water.
Yeah, it was a lot. For a tight end, $38. Come on. Everybody knows. Rookie mistake on my part. Not a rookie, but, I made
well,
it.
And then see him go a night later for just $20, obviously.
No, that hurt. That hurt
that makes it worse. That made it worse.
I don't have enough preparation age at home to deal with how much that hurt. So I'll live with it. I'm just hoping Andrea can bail me out and right our ship.
Right. Management through the league now, the rest of the season. So you got time. Well, I appreciate you calling in and let me experiment with this. I'll work on a few things and we'll get it ironed out where we can take calls. But I had a ball last night with you guys calling in and everything. And thanks for helping me out tonight to try this.
Easy. I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you. If you can hear me, appreciate your time. Lou did a great job last night. That guy, everybody in the chat room, appreciate it.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the chat room. Are you back now, Chris?
Yes, I am.
Oh, see, now I have you fine. Now, I don't know why. That's on the same computer. Why it wouldn't set. Now, I think if we were all on Skype, it would have worked. But
oh, yes. Yeah, that might be the way to do it from here on out then. If we're going to include some of the folks from the chat, I wouldn't mind doing it that way.
Well, I'm trying to set it up. I have a Hangouts phone number.
Okay.
So I'm kind of setting it up to where I think I have to set it though to a business grade account, which I don't think costs money. And I think once I do that, it will allow me to people will actually be able to call a phone number. So we'll try that here later on. Cub Hub was one of the people who joined me last night a couple of times and asked some questions and got in. So it was pretty fun. Let's go to I've lost track of time. Man, we've already at 52 minutes. Let's do our quick do's and don'ts of the week. This obviously is the last week not last week. This is our last day. The season starts tomorrow, but still, why don't you a do and don't for this week that might help a fantasy player? I'll let you pick first. Are you going to go do or a don't?
I'll go. Let's see. Which one do I want to do first? To be quite honest with you, I'll go with a don't.
Okay.
Don't. So we're getting into week one. A lot of stuff you're going to see a lot of highlight reels. You're going to see a lot of players, and then hopefully I'm praying to the fantasy gods that nobody gets injured. But I would say don't overreact to week one. It's just your first week. Now, don't unless there's a serious injury where a player goes down and you wind up, and they're out for the season. Don't rush to the waiver wire. Let the other folks in your league go to the waiver wire and use that priority on those picks. Unless there's just some complete, an utter deviation from your earlier understanding of what their usage is going to be in the regular season, don't cut bait after week one. Sit back. Just wait for this the first couple of weeks to play out. Let some players knock off the rust, maybe have some better matchups, and then go ahead and start making some waiver wire pickups in week 2, week 3.
Right. And you know what? That is my exact don't, which is, don't overreact to week one. That it's just that simple. You'll hear all these people about the waiver wire and they'll tell you how, the week one is the most important. I disagree with that. It could be maybe, I think last year, a lot of teams that drafted early, Ware was obviously hurt, and that made Hunt a pretty good pickup the first first week or maybe even before the season started in some cases.
Mhm.
But most of the time, you hear all this all the time, but I think stats have proven that very rarely are you going to get someone off the waiver wire that's going to totally change your outlook of your team.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's more likely you're going to drop somebody that could help you than pick up someone that can help you.
Right.
So I agree with that. That was the same don't I had, is not to overreact, for this first week. Then let's jump to what's your do? What's a do you would tell somebody here going into the first week of the season?
For a do, I would say for a do, start monitoring the players that you might want to pick up. So if let's say you pick up or you drafted somebody like Jay Ajayi. Now the injury scare for the first week should be out of the way. He's been practicing in full, but start eyeing some of those handcuffs that you might want to pick up in weeks 4, 5, and start having those on your list on your watch list for players that you might want to pick up. So like if Latavius Murray got drafted, in most leagues he is being drafted, I would assume, let's say if Dalvin Cook comes out like gangbusters in week 1, he might get dropped. Pick him up in like weeks 4 and 5 and see how the season progresses. Start watching the players, the transactions that happen in your league, and then start picking up some of those handcuffs once you get into the middle weeks, like 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
Right. That's very good advice. And it's kind of the thing I'm going to do is it's very similar to one thing you just said. All right. I got a lot of, I just realized what I did. I screwed up on my notes I have here. Hey, this is back to what we did a few podcasts ago. Know the rules of your league. I had two bench spots marked, on my thing that I don't have. So the reason it's not letting me bid on anybody is my roster is full.
Mm-hmm.
Other than one defense and one quarterback. The problem is I got $30 to spend. There is nobody going to go for that. Easy screwed up. I'm going to end this draft with, $10. Now the best quarterback on the board, I might as well put the best quarterback up at this point is Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz. I can't go with Wentz because I have to start 2 quarterbacks, which means I'm going to have to go. Oh, I hit a button wrong. Oh, there we go. So I'm nominating Matt Ryan. I can bid up to $30. So I obviously will have Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford. That's not a bad quarterback for a 2 quarterback league. The problem I have is it's a 2 quarterback league, not a super flex.
Okay.
So I kind of should have been prepared to have a 3rd quarterback. But I don't. So, and then now I'm obviously going to overspend for a defense too.
Right.
Which I'll have to look. I know the Bears are still out there. And there I got Matt Ryan. So that fills all my roster spots except for my defense. And now I just need to play the waiting game. The Baltimore Ravens are out there. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Houston Texans. I'll get one of those. So the sucky part is I'm going to end up with about $25 left. I would say that's a mistake. Means I could have bid on a few people. My due is this time of year is, I know we tell everybody to check out your rules and your league settings and all that, but what some people don't do, if it's a new league, especially right now going into this first week, look at your playoff schedule. Look at how your playoffs are set up. Look at how many people go to your playoffs. Know what you're playing for, because that can make a difference on how you play. If you're in a league with only 4 people going, then obviously you got to come out winning every week. If you're in a league where, half of them go to the playoffs, obviously you can, sit back a little bit and maybe, to work your roster a little different than someone where just a couple are going. So a lot of people don't even know, are you playing week 16 and 17? Are you playing a 2-week playoff or a 1-week playoff? This is the time of year, know the playoff situation in your league as much as the rules and the settings, so that you can be prepared. And again, so how to play like I said, if you're in a league where a lot of people go to the playoffs, you obviously, you know what, you might, go 1 week, where you maybe, your flex, you could have picked up a better person, but you're going to give a guy an extra week. Well, you might be able to do that in a league where everyone makes the playoffs or more.
Right.
Where if you're in a league where 4 make the playoffs and you have to win every week, you know what, you got to make those moves every week then. You know? So that's my do. And the other do is kind of what you were talking about is I'm in a lot of leagues. I'm over 10, but what I've learned to do to help me manage players that I want to keep an eye on, I only, how do I want to say this? I only mark and highlight players to keep an eye on in one league.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Meaning, if I'm listening to a podcast and a name comes up and I go, you know what, I think he's available in a lot of my leagues, or I need to keep an eye on him, I just put it in one league. So I can go. So when I'm getting ready to set my waiver moves on a Tuesday night,
Sure.
I don't have to go through every player, settings on all my leagues of who I've got set where. No, I just go into one league. I bring that up on one laptop and I look, here's the 4 or 5 players I want to pay attention to. I put them all in one league, section. And then, it just makes it easier for me to manage the players that I'm looking at or want to keep an eye on. You understand? Yeah. It seems confusing, but it's really not. It just makes it easier for me versus, going, oh, I think that guy, he would help me in that league. So I'm going to put him in that league as a favorite or a guy to keep an eye on.
Gotcha.
And I think ESPN, I think you click a little flag or you do whatever. I've just learned it's easier to manage the people that I find important to watch if I do it in just one league.
Yep.
Rather than trying to do it in all the leagues. So
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah. So we kind of we've talked about the topic all day. So just to get ready to end here, it is fantasy football eve. It is the exciting time. We've all shaken our boxes. We've rattled, we see all the presents. We've put it up in the light to see if we can see through the box to see if we got that Lego set we wanted. You know what? And all that's neat. That's fun. That's the fun part of Christmas coming, but it still doesn't beat that morning, where you actually get to open it. The problem is it isn't always what you thought it was. So,
yes.
That's the thing, this time of year, everyone's excited to open those presents and see how they work out. The key is a lot, not a lot, I hate to say a lot, but some of them aren't going to work out. Some of them are not going to be the gift you thought. So, that was just my point of today is, relax, take it easy, and plan on managing your league. The draft is just a part of it. And enjoy the last day of drafting, which I got to do today. It was kind of fun. I don't think I've ever drafted the night before the league. So, it gave me something to do. And I did mess up. Like I said, there's a lot of good guys going off here now. Jamal Williams went for $4. Funches for $6. Robbie Anderson for $4. Now, I think I did okay, but if I'd have paid attention, I truly screwed up and had 3 more people clicked for my bench spots than I had available. So I thought I was good. But I don't think I came out too bad. I have to nominate, and I'm nominating a D. I really believe, and I'm going to do it anyway, I'm selecting the Ravens. The good thing is they don't have a bye till week 10. So I'm willing to take the Ravens for, in this case, I can bid $28. I think they're going to be one of the top defenses. Mm-hmm. So, Chris, anything you've done? I know you did a draft tonight. Do you have any other drafts? Was that it? Are you done drafting?
I think that's it for me. Unless any other client drafts pop up, I'm done with redraft for the season.
All right.
I'm ready to sit back and watch some football.
Oh, I almost got outbid because I'm talking. I got all this money and I almost got outbid because Andrea tried to sneak them from me, and she's still going to. Andrea, you're not going to outbid me. You got 11. I got 28, and I have to spend it all on a defense. Come on. Going once. Going twice. Yes. Easy's team is filled. With $23, it could have been
not bad.
Yeah. I think there was some deals that I passed up that I probably obviously now could have spent a few dollars. I'll be starting Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan. My running backs are Rex Burkhead, Marshawn Lynch, Alfred Morris, Alex Collins, Derrick Henry. My wide receivers are Crowder, Fitzgerald, Cooks, Hilton, Baldwin. Really, the key to this team is going to be Baldwin. And I have Sammy Watkins. So, if Baldwin stays healthy, he was a steal at $16. He's, if him and T.Y. Hilton, Sammy Watkins, Larry Fitzgerald, I got 3 or 4 pretty good wide receivers in a PPR. Tucker and the Baltimore Ravens. So I have the Baltimore kicker by 10. I have the Ravens by 10. So that's nice. Those are set and forget spots now. So that's kind of nice. You know what? Not too bad. And actually, I think I can go down. I forgot. I have Tevin Coleman. I didn't narrow down. And then Jay Jai. So not hateful. It's definitely not a studs and duds team. This is a bunch of 4th, 5th, 6th round players. With snake drafting. So, it's kind of fun. Chris, again, kind of a put together quick show, knowing this draft was going on, knowing that tomorrow the season starts. It'll be exciting. Next Wednesday will be me and yours first show where we actually got to watch real football. So I'm excited about that. We will be again right around 9:30 next Wednesday. So anybody, if you have questions or anything like that, come to the Lenny Melnick fantasysports.com, come into the chat room, have your questions and stuff ready. We'd love to answer those. You can find, I'm on Twitter, at afantasyfan. If you want to shoot me a question or anything for the show, Chris, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX, and you can find my weekly QB streaming article at 4for4.com.
Okay. Right. People go out there and support Chris. He does this, he helps me out so that, I guess not that I sound any smarter, but at least I bring something smarter to the table when I
don't sound smart.
There. Oh, sure. Chris is my smart guy. Don't let him talk you out of that, guys. People in the chat room are saying great job. Thanks. They enjoyed the show. Chris, I need to get you signed up for the chat room because they it'd be nice to have a football guy in there maybe to answer some questions, even if not
a bad idea. At least I'll give my 2 cents.
Yeah, give your 2 cents. A lot of people in that chat room, it's open all day long. It's not always someone in there, but every once in a while I'll pop in and I'll just see where someone has asked a question. And sometimes I feel smart enough to answer. Sometimes I don't. There's baseball questions in there. There's football questions this time of year. So go to Lenny Melnick fantasysports.com. It's free. It's easy. Just set up a quick account. You can make your name whatever. Put out there that you're Chris Allen, you're Easy's expert, something so they know who you are. That way they can ask you questions out there. Gotcha. And we appreciate y'all coming out tonight. I've had a blast. The draft was fun. Andrea kicked my butt a few times. There was a lot of big bids out there. All of you have a good week of football. Baseball's still going on. I'm in a couple. Chris, do you realize you are in the playoffs this week and you're playing me?
Oh gosh, it really came down to me and you, huh?
Well, this is the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. Whoever wins between me and you will go to the second round. We'll be playing in the World Series 2 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. I guess I got to make some moves then.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, make some moves. Try to beat me. Because I've lost 3 or 4 times this year, and it's all been you. I was a little worried that I drew you anyway. So
yeah. All right.
That's your lineups, Chris. Be a baseball guy.
Fine for 1 more week.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next week.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say good night. Good night.